In most of the cases, not always, and it's not mandatory, but most of the times you would notice that investors are putting in money through a network, right? And there is going to be networks share. So network would ask for some percentage of deal from the company as and when the investment is happening. Percentage of investment opportunity, what network is bringing on table for the investors. So this percentage probably, the network would take from investors. And by participation in the investment round along with other angels, right? It can be either one of these two or maybe both. How it is defined in your term sheet, that is something you have to figure it out. Right? A network may ask for certain percentage flat money, 3 crores, 2% giveaway as a part of their commission, and your job is done. Or they may ask for some percentage as a part of the equity. Another major point here on term sheet you would see is board of the company post investment. Right? So, provision of board seat by investors. Investor would ask for 1 or 2 or 5 depending on how many founders or how many existing board seats are available or given to the founding members vis-a-vis the investors. So, they'll ask for board seats, they'll ask for voting rights, affirmative voting rights on corporate or key actions like change in capital, merger acquisition, and next round of funding. So this is what I was talking about in earlier slide. Any major change happening which is going to change the overall structure of your company, right? Such kind of changes without having affirmative voting rights from the investors director who is representing a bunch of investors, you cannot take such decisions on your own.
We are like veto. They can have veto or it's
they can
go by proportion.
No, they can.
They only vote 30%.
They have veto power.
You only 30%, for example. Still.
Because you are trying to change overall structure of your company, right? And it is going to have material impact to the investors who have put in money. So remember, as a founder, probably you have given, equity to yourself by paying, 10 rupees per share, right? Maybe 10, 20, 30 lakhs rupees, whatever you have, invested. But investor is putting in few crore rupees, right? Although their stake in the company is minority stake, but the amount of money what they have put in is pretty large.
So is the affirmative action only restricted to these kind of activities, or
So there are list of activities which are listed as a part of your shareholders agreement and term sheet, right? But these are some of the major activities which are taking place. So certain activities where, let's say you decide to buy fixed assets worth 50 lakhs rupees, right? Maybe car for directors, founder members. Now, when investor is putting in 2 crore rupees and you decide to buy car worth 50 lakhs rupees, is it justifiable? Maybe you are buying this car in the company's account, not on your personal capacity. Personal capacity, nobody is going to question. But when it comes to company's account and you are paying money from company's account, you need investors' confirmation. Forget about cars. Maybe you are buying some, computers, right? Where the condition is given that whenever you are buying any fixed assets more than certain value, 5 lakhs or 10 lakhs, you need confirmation from investors director. Why confirmation? Basically, you need to justify that why you are spending money for such purchases. And if you are able to justify, right, no investor would disagree on that.
Any say on compensation and ESOP, etc.
Yeah, so again, so let's say suddenly you decide that, okay, I want to increase my ESOP, which was currently 10%. I'm coming to that ESOP later on, next slides. But currently, let's say you have considered ESOP of 10% and you decide to increase this ESOP to 15%. What will happen to investors' stake in the company? Yes, you need investors' confirmation. Anything which is having impact on financial statements or the equity what investor is holding in the company, share equity, you need confirmation from.
These would vary from investor relationships, with the promoters and investors. These are hard and fast written in stone.
Yes, it is. It is written hard and fast. So remember one thing.
Who would have gone on this?
Sorry? So this is clearly defined with the value. So if investor says that, okay, beyond 10 lakhs, you should come back and take my approval. So any money you are spending more than 10 lakhs, you need investors' approval. These terms are clearly defined on your standard, the shareholders agreement, what you sign post term sheet and post your due diligence and other processes.
So that includes hiring employees as well?
No. So again, hiring employees at key management positions. Yes, you need approval. Yeah.
So if let's say a group of angels come together, like 3 or 4 and invest, wouldn't that add a lot of moving parts to the?
So what happens is, as an angel, if we always have a lead investor, you will sit, one of the group guy will be sitting on the board of that company and will be taking decision on behalf of the group. It's not that you need to engage with every 20-30 member of the angel group, no.
So that's where the board seat comes in picture. So let's say you are 3 founder members, right? Investor would say that we need 2 board seats because you guys are 3. I need at least 2. So that becomes a board of 5 people. You take approval from one of the investor director who is on board, and if he approves, deal is done. You are free to execute that particular activity. So approval from that one investor director takes care of all the investors who have put in money into your company.
Idea is with all this structure, right? The focus is, investor is investing money with the purpose that you will spend frugally and prudently.
Yeah.
Right? So this brings all the discipline within the company, sets in processes by which at least you start working this like a company which is going to scale. So put processes in motion, right? While you are taking ad hoc decisions, this brings to you a systemic process of how to run a company and with multiple stakeholders. There are people saying that, okay, I care a damn, I don't want to be answerable to anyone, then it's better to bootstrap a company rather than taking money from somebody. But if you have taken money into your company, then you better comply with all this. They individually invest, the individual shares are given to them, but they give a power of attorney to the network. So one person will sign on behalf of all the investors, and one person will represent, 1 or 2, depending upon how many leads are there, they will work on.
One thing I would like to highlight here. Yeah.
In network share, so the first one is possibility of a lead from the company. So it means if as a company we are going for funding and there is someone who is helping us to get funding, so we have to give percentage of that funding out to this particular player or a small investment management kind of thing.
No. So the percent. So I'm talking about network share, right? Network is the angel network, right? The group of people which is driven by a group, by a network, right? And this network is helping you to get these investors on board, right? So against that, they will ask for certain percentage, which is to be given to that network.
So it's a different company to give away the percentages or money. Say 1% of the funding now. As you mentioned that 2% of the growth, give away the money. Or give away the equity of the company. This is good for a entrepreneur.
So if you are, even if you are giving a percentage, right? Just like any other investor, this network also becomes a part of investor, right? And they will, this network also will have equal right as what other investors have. So don't differentiate between the network equity given to network vis-a-vis equity given to other investors. It's at par. So all these parameters I think you can take. So these parameters are decided at the beginning, and that's why term sheet. So investor would say that okay, I'm ready to invest 2.5 crore rupees at valuation of 10 crores, and for this I'll take 20% equity. Right, so when the 2.5 crores of investment is coming in, you have to give 20% to all the shareholders.
Right, so that's one of the questions. So does the entrepreneur have any hand in saying that we can restrict it or does the employee?
So that's your choice. You have to decide whether you want to give away 20%, 10%, 15%, and that's where you have to negotiate with the investors. Right.
These are angel investors. Sorry. The angel investors usually say that all the money I'm investing should go into growth capital and nowhere else. And when this intermediary, you usually have 2% or 3% comes to be paid. It is said that some angels really don't agree to this and it has to be done to some other routes. Is that true or does it? Like you have, if say X is the intermediary between the angel investors and entrepreneurs.
So as an angel investor, if I'm investing money through network, right, I am a member of that network, right, and I'm binding myself with the terms and conditions which are defined by the network, right. So I don't think that would be a
what I will suggest is, if any investment banker is there, as an angel, I don't like money going out of the company, period. Right? So I would prefer entrepreneurs coming directly, not via an investment banker. So, but idea is there are deals which come through investment banker, and at some level you have to pay fees. So it's a give and take situation depending upon what deals are coming on the table. But as you move from angel to series A, B, C, investment bankers are required, and that's a fact. You will need people to help you raise money. So you can't avoid that. But at the seed level, while you are raising 1 crore, 2 crore, entrepreneurs, if the idea is how do they pitch themselves to investor makes more comfortable to angels, right? Rather than an investment banker positioning that startup where he becomes like a spokesperson or communicating for that startup. But while the angel network, typically every angel network, right, to run their processes, they will take fees from various members. Beyond that, what they try to do is take some percentage, very small minute percentage of the deal equity, which is part. So if let's say 20% was agreed across, all the angels will pay for that 20%, but typically 19% will get distributed to angels, 1% will be retained by the network. So that does not harm the entrepreneur because he has agreed for it, he got the money. But actually the members are paying for that 1%. So that's how deals are structured. So every network has their own ways and mechanism to charge equity.
So this 1%, 90% by investor, but 1% which is coming from network, right? For that, and network is also going to pay money, right? So, okay. One thing here, before I move on to the next slide, I would like to highlight here is, remember, any terms and conditions which are given here and certain restrictions which are given here as affirmative voting rights, you can't do this, that, and so on. Remember one thing, as he rightly said, he has to, as an investor, he has to protect his interest. But then same time, remember one thing, that out of total 100% of your company, you have given away only 20%. The 80% is still remaining with you, right? So any action you perform here, with or without investors' permission, the impact on investor is going to be 20% only. The 80% impact is right. And one point here, the investor may ask to maintain enough proportion of the founders. So later on, in case if number of founder team increases the board seats, then proportionately the investor also would ask for that.
So the question about Facebook, which I read sometime back, that although they had gone across and they had diluted their equity, they had not diluted the voting power. Because the voting was at that point of
time they have complete control over the company as far as the decision of the direction of the company is concerned.
So that is how probably the
That's why this
negotiation and the understanding is done between investors and founding.
And rather than mentioned, he just actually he did cross the line when he actually mentioned that it's very essential that you have a mature investor who understands not only the business, but he also understands the maturity life cycle that is going across in a business. Because you just can't go across and suddenly for every given point of time you are expected to run across to an investor.
No, so I'm coming to that. Remember one thing, investors are there to put in money and help you to grow your business. They are not here to run your business. They are not going to interfere on day-to-day activities of your business. They are not going to ask you for any smallest thing, go back to investor and take his permission. No. Yes, whenever there is material impact on your on investor's investment, he is going to question and you need his permission, number one. Number two, when you are spending money, the investor's money, right, beyond certain limit, then you would ask for permission. So, I mean, tomorrow, like if you want to hire two, software developers, you don't have to go and ask for permission. But yes, if you are hiring somebody who is at senior position level and you are going to pay 25, 30, 40 lakhs kind of salaries, yes, you need his approval.
So it depends upon whom you are choosing as an investor, right? So if there is an investor who is a single family friend and he is doing an obligation to you by putting money, then it's a different story.
But professionally doesn't matter.
Professionally, I would say 99% it should not happen. But 1% you will find people, who would be interested in participating on a day-to-day basis. So that's where you need to find a pedigree, what portfolio is invested, talk to other founders, right? So idea is, if he has an history, there will be founders who will be speaking about saying that whether to work with this investor or not. So, I mean, now with the internet, I mean, you can always do background checks.
Offline, you can always do require due diligence of investors also who have put in, who have agreed to put in money in your company before you actually sign the term sheets or, shareholders agreement. Yes.
You said something about this founders correlation in terms of spread of. Last point there was something in terms of founders in the last slide. There is point wherein they can ask the founders equilibrium share ratios.
So basically both seats.
Yes. In proportion.
In proportion.
Yeah. So can you give some example on this?
So currently, let's say there are 3 founder members who are on board and 2 investors directors. So it's a 5 people board seat, right? Right. Founders may say that we are going to include these 2 more people of their team members or whatever, or maybe one of the founder member decides to leave due to whatever reasoning maybe. So what happens is now you are left with 2 founder members and 2 investor directors. Right? So proportionately, you want to increase or decrease if there is a change in the board seat.
So here, founder specifically, is it like a promoter you're talking about? The founder can be 3-4 people, wherein 2 may be promoters and other may have joined in the later stage, and they are not directors of the company, but they are kind of.
They are senior people, senior management people, but they are not on board.
Yeah, not on board. Yeah.
So if you decide due to whatever reason, if you decide to bring them on board, right? Again, you would need investors' approval, number one, and investor may ask for additional board seats if that proportion is getting disturbed. Yeah, we'll move on to the next slide. Another important lock-in and vesting of founders' shares. So first of all, why lock-in? Anybody has this question, why investor would like to lock your equity? They are putting in money, right? By looking at your profile, your confidence, right? Your ability to run this business and so on, right? Tomorrow, if you decide, if you find some, highly paid job with Microsoft or Infosys of the world, and you decide to join that company, what happens to your startup when investor is putting money? So, lock-in, very important. Vesting over a period of 4 to 5 years. So let's say, you have certain equity in the company and investor would say that every year we'll have vesting period 4 to 5 years, and every year 25% of total equity would be vested, the unlocked. That percentage and number of years, again, it depends on how you have negotiated with the investors. If a founder leaves the company due to no valid reason, or reasons like he got some better job opportunity, or due to some critical illness, right? What is to be done with his share of money? So his share of equity would be sold at par to other founder team members, right? Or include it into ESOP pool, or investor may decide to buy out this shares. Okay, so here, in case if he decides to sell or transfer, investor will ask for first right of refusal. I'm coming to this point later on, and tag-along rights. Right, so investor will have first right of refusal in case if he decides to sell this equity to some outsider third party. Yeah. Yeah.
The second point, because the founder is already allotted the shares. So what does vesting mean in that perspective?
Right, so shares are allotted. So let's say as a founder you have got 1,000 shares in your kitty, right? Now this 1,000 shares are locked. You cannot sell, transfer these shares for a certain period which is decided over here. So let's say 4 years period, you have 1,000 shares, 4 years period, you cannot sell these shares. You cannot transfer these shares. You cannot even say that I'm part of the company, but I want to transfer these shares to my brother or sister or my wife or whatever, right? These shares have to continue remaining on your name only, number one. Number two, over a period of time, say 4 years, so 1,000 shares, so first year, at the end of first year, first anniversary, the 25% will be unlocked. So 25% shares are available, but then same time, you cannot sell or transfer these shares. And if you decide to do that, the other points, the right of first refusal and tag-along rights will be applicable to it. I'm coming to these 2 points later on. Clear? Yeah.
So, between the term sheet and signing of SHA, if I want to go for bridge funding, is that possible?
No. So that's what is the commitment given by you to the investors, that during this period you will not disclose this transaction or the term sheets with any third party outside or any other investors.
But then what if I want bridge funding for meeting my overheads or something? So can I ask the investor himself that if he could bridge fund? How does that go?
So if that period is really very long, let's say between term sheet to final SHA, it's going to be 6 months period, and if investor decides and agrees, he may, you may go for that bridge funding, but then again, it would be later on as and when the SHA is signed, it would get converted into actual shares. So till that time, it would remain as a loan given to the company. But such kind of scenario would happen only if you are taking money from family, friends, or some known person, and then later on you convert it into equity. Typically, with the professional investors, this kind of situation would not arise. And even if it arises, then it is going to be with structured, agreement, and all these things will, take place.
But with the term sheet, if I sign one, would it help me get more information from the bank and stuff like that?
No. So it's not something that, you go to bank and say that, okay, fine, I've got this opportunity and based on this you give me. No.